We go live to 54 countries in 6 different languages Monday to Friday. And tonight I have a very special guest. Time to talk business on Soul Stage. Let me welcome Vanice Ntuli. She's an accomplished automotive and compliance professional recognized for driving profitability while upholding strong governance and customer-centric excellence in dealership environments. As a finance and insurance business manager, she operates at the intersection of commercial strategy, regulatory compliance, and revenue optimization. She's also known for being a really disciplined person in her line of duty. And she continues to execute and govern, specializing in maximizing second gross income while embedding compliant sales practices that deliver sustainable financial performance without compromising the customer journey. So let me welcome my very special guest tonight. Hi, good evening. Venice, how you doing?
Good evening, Tish. I'm doing very well. And thank you so much for inviting me.
I got to tell you, people are excited that you're on the show today because motoring is something that everybody does. But in the last couple of years, people are talking about fiscal resilience, replacing horsepower as the new
Mhm.
performance metric. Is that true?
Yeah. So it's two ways, right?
Mm.
Horsepower, we really look at the market share, we look at driving vehicle sales, and that's the hard sell. And the fiscal is really more on the soft part, where it's customer centricity, but also driving profitability. But when you look at it, Tish, can we not really marry the two? Does it have to be either or?
Yes, I hear you.
It
I think
doesn't
marrying the
have
two
to
really
be.
works. Yeah, because us
Yes,
guys,
absolutely.
we still love our horsepower.
You do. And what is wrong with that? But it's
Nothing
just
wrong
being
at all.
able to manage the two worlds and marrying them well.
In an uncertain economic situation such as what South Africa and part of Southern Africa is facing today, buyers want someone they can trust more than a monthly payment. How do you build that trust in the first 5 minutes within a showroom conversation?
Mhm. So it's really not a 5 minute conversation in most instances. I mean, some conversation that I've been having with customers has been over a year, and trust is only built now where they're deciding to buy a vehicle. But let me put it this way, we do build a 5 minute conversation. It's something that I speak about in my book, and I'm really surprised that you're asking me such a question as if you know about my book. I call it the GAIN framework, where you greet the customer with intention. As you are greeting the customer, you know that they're here because they want something, and you align. So the G is for greet with intention, the A is to align with the customer expectation, right? So I won't tell you the I and the N that's in the book. We'll talk about that at a later stage once I've released it. But then it's really to say that we are building transparency. That is how you gain customer confidence within the first 5 minutes of having a conversation.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done on the book, The Gain Framework. When is it out? Is it available already?
Not yet. We are actually launching it in October. So the launch will be on the 31st of October, but I will communicate that at a later stage. So, yes,
Fantastic.
as you
Mm.
asked that question, it just took me straight to that framework.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I would love to be part of that interesting book launch. You say that the role of F&I must evolve from transaction facilitator to strategic risk advisory. What does that shift look
Mhm,
like in practice during a customer consultation? How do you marry the two?
mhm. It's really simple. It's about listening to the customer. I do what is called the needs analysis, really finding out what the pain point for a customer are and where they're at and where they'd like to be at. and listening to what they're saying. So it's not just about selling a vehicle. So it's not just about the transaction, but it's understanding where the customer is. Hence why I say it's about advising, because at certain times, a customer feels that I actually want to purchase a vehicle, maybe with a balloon, but I don't want to purchase for a long time. And then I then look at it and think, okay, I could look at something that is called the guaranteed future value. So now I'm advising. I'm now looking at different options for them. So it's not just about the transaction, but it's about taking them on a journey that is suitable for what they're looking at. Because sometimes it's really about understanding the language of a customer and being able to put what they're saying into real practice.
I mean, it's during economic booms, products like Gap and extended warranties are nice to have. What changes in customer mindsets when there's inflation and high interest rates and when the economy is a little tight?
So I don't think they're nice to have products. I think they're must have product. It's with the understanding that anything can happen. So let me give you an example with gap cover, also known as shortfall cover insurance. Should a customer's vehicle be written off? Actually, let me give you a real example. I had a customer who had purchased a vehicle
Mm-hmm.
and I offered him the gap cover. Very, very smart man, a medical doctor, in fact. I offered him the gap cover, and for his gap cover, it was only about 350 rands. And I remember him saying to me, Venice, no, I can really buy pizza with 350 rands. I don't need to be spending money on something that I don't understand. And I tried to explain again to say that should this vehicle be written off because you have financed it over a long period, there is no balloon, there is no deposit that you have paid, and you do have a balloon. So chances are, when it's written off, you will have a shortfall that you will need to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, it wasn't up to a month. In 2 weeks' time, he wrote off that vehicle and he had a shortfall.
Wow.
And what really saddened me is that he went back to catching taxis because he was now paying for that shortfall for over a year, which is
Oh,
was about 250,000 rands.
that's
So
quite a
is it a
story.
nice to have,
Mm.
or is it about mitigating the risk?
I hear you. My very special guest tonight. We're going to take a short break, Vanice, and we'll be right back after this. This is Channel Africa. It's 21 after 11. It's midweek party downhill to the weekend. Wednesday night, my special guest on the Soul stage is Venice. Welcome back. We're talking motoring. So, rising repair costs can disrupt a household cash flow. How do you explain the value of a vehicle service contract to a buyer who is focused only on monthly installments, like, the experience you just have given us?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly that. And it's especially the customers that are concerned about the monthly installments. And I mean, let's face it, you were just speaking about the economic boom and what's really happening in our economy. People do not have that much disposable income. When petrol
Mm-hmm.
goes up, it really influences what gets left in the home. So if a monthly installment, an additional 100 rands is a concern for you, what more when that vehicle has issues?
Yeah.
Something happens to the gearbox and you do not have a warranty and you have to pay 50,000 rands, then you have to maybe take out a loan, right? So a person needs to look at it from that point that it's easier and better to be paying off little installment in terms of 100 rands or 200 rands more, unlike having to pay a bulk of money that you might not necessarily have at the time.
Mm. Times have indeed changed, and you say that hard sell is dead. And today's buyer is hyper informed and skeptical about OPEC pricing. What does transparency look like in modern day F and I?
Transparency looks like being clear, clarity with the customer, and really discussing those products, as I've just said, discussing the contract so that the customer understands what they're really signing for. I always say, if you don't understand it, don't sign it, you know? If you don't understand it, don't sign it. Also ask the relevant, pertinent questions that will help you in the future. So it's about being clear from the word go, but also taking ownership and being resistant to not taking advice, right? There are
Mm-hmm.
customers that are thinking, I've purchased vehicles so many times, there's nothing that you can tell me. I've never been in an accident. None of those things will happen to me. But also, again, risk mitigation. So we need to be open to listening to advice and adhering to it.
Yeah, all right. For customers planning to trade their cars in early, you focus on residual value maximization. What advice do you give dealers to position service histories and cosmetic plans around this goal?
So here I would like to speak to customers and not specifically dealer owners or dealerships,
Customers,
because
okay,
it's
that's
the
fine.
customer that, yeah, it would be the customer that would have taken the vehicle with a balloon. The customer will need to make sure that they've taken a cosmetics policy to keep their vehicle in showroom condition so that when they need to get out of the vehicle, then it's easy for them to do so, and they can go to any dealership and always ask for a better price, because
Mm.
dealership
Mm-hmm.
will always have their markup. That's for certain.
Yes, yeah,
But
right.
when the customer takes responsibility of their vehicle and makes sure that they're keeping it in showroom condition and also making sure that they do not put too much mileage so that when they need to get out, they can get out, then they have the peace of mind. And it
All
gives
right.
them the buying power or the selling power in this case.
Right, Vanice, digital transformation and sustainable mobility are changing automotive retail. How is F&I adapting to electric vehicles and new ownership models? Is it safer to have an electric vehicle these days than combustion vehicles?
Well, it is safer in terms of the environment. But what I'm finding interesting is that most insurers don't like to finance, they don't like to insure the electric vehicles
EVs.
because they're just not too sure of the risk that they're getting into for themselves. So that's the really interesting part, that we are finding that it's not all insurers that actually insure electric vehicles.
Yeah. Okay. You say that modern day clients today they want a partner who ensures that mobility remains an asset rather than a liability. How do you train your teams to push this forward to clients?
Yeah. So again, it's really about listening to the clients, and where we can have a but, I think we can look at just putting an and, you know, in terms of our team, and not look at saying but and looking at saying and so what in this case? What can we do better? And asking the relevant questions and being curious a little bit more and not being critical and being a
Yeah.
bit empathetic as well.
All right. So, people always say that it's the information that is important for people to be able to make the right kind of decision. For dealership
Absolutely.
groups and luxury brands alike, customer a lifetime value now depends on education. How do you ensure that they get the right kind of information at the right time?
At the right time, like I said, Tash, that it's not about the right time. It's about when is it right for the customer. There are
Okay.
customers that I've had for a long time that we are still in communication because they're still uncertain and it's
Okay.
continuous. And you mentioned that 5 minute trust. Some
Mm-hmm.
they get it in 5 minutes, some they understand in a month, and some it takes over a year. So it's about you understanding where the customer is at and having the patience and the empathy to journey with them.
All right. So thank you so much for having been part of our show tonight. I wish you only the best. And next time I need a vehicle, I'm coming to you, Venice. And you're going to get me
Please
a good
do.
deal. All right. I like fancy
Absolutely.
cars. I want Lambos and Rolls Royces. Thank you
I
so
like
much. And
that.
All right. Have a great evening. That's Vanice
Thank
Ntuli.
you.
She's an accomplished automotive finance and compliance professional, and she's been giving us advice on how to purchase your next vehicle. This is Channel Africa.